This afternoon on 8 and This afternoon on 8.5 bit, we go on a depressing nature trek, paddle a kayak, and paddle a pink canoe. Welcome, friends of all designs, to episode 277 of 8.5 bit. The show is hinted at today's intro, or of course, The Last of Us Part 2. Phantom Covert Ops. I actually didn't write the names down properly. Also known as Stealth Kayak. And of course, Waifu Uncovered, which I will be covering in extreme detail.
I cannot wait for that one. I've seen some screenshots of it.
It's a game.
It is a game.
You know.
On some Nintendo hardware.
Look, we haven't really even started the show yet, but we're straight into it. So, we have a list of mostly indie publishers, because that's sort of the level of show we run. They said, hey, game coming out, would you like to cover it? And not very often, but every once in a while, a porn game comes through, and we go, normally, it just gets ignored, because these are normally terrible games. But when that game is on the Nintendo Switch, Paul needs to see what got through.
How is it we've got to this point with the Switch where
I have a small
through?
list of games that have full-blown nudity on the Switch. Yeah. None of them have made a stir. Most of them are pretty small. Milnoir had some, Metropolis or something like that. That puzzle game, I think, had full frontal nudity in it. A couple of little ones have. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. It's just so strange of all the companies to kind of get more relaxed on adult content.
Because Sony's become more strict.
It's Nintendo are the ones, which is sort of like, meh.
Go there. I'm not going to see any full-blown penetrative sex scenes, I don't think.
Yeah.
And probably they don't need to be there. And I really, really would hate it if the Switch store turned into Steam with just its constant hentai sliding puzzle games. But anyway, we'll get back onto the pornography later. We'll just kick off the show. Yeah. And if you are, for any reason, I don't know why you listen to us if you're offended by the concept of pornography. The game gets as deep as nipples. We're not super porny here. It's very softcore still. Anyway, and also it's mostly an audio format. So, what are you concerned about? Okay. Anyway, and if those people that do watch on YouTube, the 12 of you that do, last episode Sam commented that I had a few too many controllers on my table, and I should call it Paul's big controller flex.
Well, now it's a bigger flex.
So I added some more.
There's a few here.
James was impressed, but I had to inform him that this was barely even my starting form.
Yeah.
We just grabbed a few.
I guess the Ouya one.
Got Ouya controls very good.
Of course, this is the piece de la resistance. The
RE4 chainsaw.
The most horrible, stupid controller ever.
I think maybe it's just pushed right out of you at the front. There we've got the CNET controller. That was tell you what, I fucking loved playing CNET on the 360.
I mean, it serves its purpose well. It's just so incredibly niche.
These days, that controller would be replicated in a game by mobile phone.
Yes, it's just
except the mobile phone wouldn't be anywhere near as responsive.
No, and it wouldn't feel like. I mean, as far as selling the idea that you're on a game show, having the big old button.
And the thing is, whilst that's a lot to manufacture for a single game, it's also just a remote. It's nothing too fancy.
Yeah, because I actually just noticed that it's not.
It's RF.
It's RF, so it's not like there's a wireless controller in it. So, I mean, that's gonna be a lot cheaper right there.
Yeah. If only more games had used it.
Do we still have RF controllers in modern consoles? Or are they given up on that?
Nah, I don't think anyone's used it. But here's the thing: they always go on. Microsoft's always on about its backwards compatibility. And they say, it's 100% backwards compatible, and I start going, well, that's not true because some things don't support it. For the Kinect games, I doubt are going to work on the Series X because I doubt there'll be a port to plug in a Kinect. Maybe, but probably not. I bet they don't support the RF controller for the CNET controllers either.
No, I don't think they will.
But let's find out. I hope they upscale CNET.
You should call them out
CNET was a movie trivia game, if you're not aware. Oh, throw my pen everywhere.
Pens.
Jeebus
Pens
Christ.
everywhere.
Anyway, I'm your host, Paul, and joining today is my good friend, James.
Hello.
Hello, James. You're looking well.
I'm slightly hungover.
That's okay.
I'm doing all right. I had a good nap.
Well, that will help. Well, I'm not hungover.
No. You just have a baby, which is like being perpetually hungover anyway, right?
Yeah, well, I think... trying to think of times I've been hungover yet. Maybe twice?
You see, I didn't even have to drink much to get hungover anymore. Like, the amount that I did drink last night was not excessive. It was probably like 4 standard drinks. That was enough. That's enough. If I have 3 glasses of wine, the next day I'm feeling it.
Yeah. I smashed you last night.
Yeah.
And I was just sad. I wasn't having a party like James. And I was up at 3, and I've been to bed since. Yeah. Anywhoozin, video games. What's happened?
Went to the coast.
That's not a video game.
I caught a fish.
That's a real life game. How did you catch your fish?
Well, okay, two things happened.
Was it just like Animal Crossing? Did you just like
kind of?
Bloop,
well,
and then you gotta strike fast.
Went to the coast and had a couple of fishing rods. And I used to fish a lot as a kid, and I thought, all right, I'm going to give this fishing thing a go again. I was never any good at it when I was younger. I sucked
at fishing.
But I'm going to give it a go. So got the rods. A lot of it came back to me, which was good. So I remembered how to cast and all that kind of stuff.
I don't think the technique's that hard. I think
no.
Patience required.
Yeah, and I've got plenty of the patience.
Which I feel you'd be good at, because when we go to the beach, you do a thing that blows my fucking mind, which is we go down to the beach and I go, this is great, I love the beach. I'm going to go for a swim. Oh, good swim. Maybe I'll play in the sand for a minute. This is fun. I go, okay, well now it's quite hot. I'm going to go do something else. And James instead stays on the beach for another 6 hours. Yeah. Just lying there.
Oh, I loves lying on the beach.
Doing nothing.
It's so good. Napping to the sound of the ocean. Yeah. I can do that a lot. So, I mean, fishing is basically just standing napping.
Yeah. I gotta do something. It's fishing in Animal Crossing is much faster. I could just stand there with a rod in one hand, in one of those little holders, the real lazy one, and play Animal Crossing while I wait for a real fish to come. Anyway,
so
your story about fishing.
So
no more interruptions from Paul.
Got some prawns, and I'm doing this fishing. And where we're staying, there's a guy next to us, and he's fishing as well. And about every maybe 15, 20 minutes, this guy's pulling a fish.
Oh,
and so clearly there's fish in this
quite
water.
Successful.
And I'm nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And so I probably fish for maybe like 2 or 3 hours, just casting. No fish, casting. I'm having a good time.
A time.
And eventually start chatting a little bit to the guy next to me, and he's using chicken. I'm using prawns. But then he does a cast, and his wedding ring falls off, and it falls down into the rocks.
Okay.
So I then, because he would have been probably in his 70s, so I clamber over and get the ring for him.
It's definitely starting to sound like a scam.
and then the next fish he caught, he gave to us.
Oh, is that how you caught a fish?
So that's now. But also, that's how I caught the fish, which then was this whole other thing of killing it, where Cheryl and I both held the knife and did it together. Because I was nervous about, because you want to like stab it in the head to kill it.
You're trying to like form a pact. We're in this together. No one's no one's turning the other one in. We're both culpable.
I've never taken a live thing and made it a dead thing. This is not something I've done.
I told my rat story on the podcast.
So, I am a little nervous about it, even though it is, and I'm just going it's just food. But, it stabbed it in the head, like in the brain, and kind of
Finding Nemo.
Scriggled the thing to, it died. But yeah, so we did that together. That was a good bonding experience. But after doing that, the guy also gave me some chicken, and then I started using that to fish, and that was when I legitimately caught one myself.
Oh.
But it was a bit small, and so once I took the hook out, just threw it back in the water. So I did catch a fish. It's not the one that we ate or will eat. It's in the freezer.
Just maturing.
Yeah, eventually
we're fermenting it Swedish style.
So it'll turn to food eventually. But yeah, got a fish.
What a story.
Yeah. And that's why it probably was a little bit like Animal Crossing, because I got a thing by a good deed. It was like I went up to like one of my villagers and gave them a thing, got a present back.
That still seems transactional.
But Animal Crossing's all transactional.
It is. Oh, God. So anyway, Animal Crossing news. Big news, James.
Yes.
Now you can swim.
What? Really?
Oh, have you played the update?
I haven't loaded up the game in ages.
Oh, you haven't got any of my messages.
No.
I haven't really sent any
because
ages.
Cheryl stopped playing it.
Did she win?
No. She's just kind of...
I thought she was just going to make something incredible and then be done.
No.
Okay. No. Now you can put on a swimsuit and jump in the water and go for a swim.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And there's new things to collect in the water.
Mm.
So there was I wasn't actually turning to Animal Crossing because we've talked about it too much.
We have talked
but as
about
a quick thing, there was a video essay that was linked in our Discord this week, and it was there for the salty tears, but I think a few people had different reasons for thinking the salty tears. The clickbait title was that Animal Crossing was an early access game.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because it's a designed game which they have
there's a content schedule.
Yeah, there's a schedule of things to release, and partly why they do that is because they wanted to allow people to time travel, but they didn't want time traveling people fucking ruining everything. They want to keep everyone together for community.
Yeah.
You know,
have actual events.
We want everyone to hate the eggs at the same time. And you know what? I think the egg thing was great.
Yeah, it was just like everyone was in it together. Everyone was like, "Oh, these fucking eggs."
Yeah, it's like it's a bit of hate, it's a bit of a laugh, bit of a thing. It's like, oh, what we got eggs for a week, and then that was it. And on it, everyone was like, "Oh, I didn't fish anymore." They only went for the middle-sized fish. If you've got small or big fish, you didn't get fucking eggs. Yeah. Jesus, settle down, people. It's a stupid video game that means nothing, that it sometimes makes you fish for eggs. But anyway, so swimming was its new one. Well, it's good because I've very much slowed down on it. It was an everyday thing. Now maybe it's an every week thing.
Yeah.
And especially when they drop an update, I'm like,
go check it out.
I'll go have a look.
Yeah.
And there's just something more to do. I have very loose goals now. Just sort of explore and catch up with the villagers and kick out the ones I hate.
Yeah, I should go in and just see if the ones I don't want there anymore are about to
susceptible to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think everyone's just on edge now. This fucking never comes anymore. Anyway. So, more Not E3 has been happening. I actually meant to have a look to see if there's anything major we've missed. I don't think there's been any real big announcements. Tomorrow morning, which is before this comes out, but only by a few hours, Devolver has its thing.
Oh, it's going to be fun. We get the next piece of the Devolververse lore,
which we know will show a gameplay reveal of Shadow Warrior 3, because they called it a teaser, but it was it's not in game, and you know I sometimes get annoyed at cinematic teasers, except I'm pretty sure it's in engine at least, but it's still like 2 minutes long. And it's very funny of Lo Wang being he has a corporately mandated teaser trailer to put together, and he has to do it in one take. And they say, "Oh, make sure you get the grappling hook in there." So they're listing off the features and showing the style and the humor of the game. So as far as I got hyped with and got some information about the game. I think it's going to be interesting to see if they. I think they'll probably go more the Shadow Warrior 2 route
with the loot.
Yeah, with the loot, with the co-op, with the repeatable content sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do, because I thought 2 had some ideas.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it that much, but they were really trying some stuff.
Yeah, almost scale it back a little bit. Yeah. If they could take a few lessons from some other sort of co-op repeated driven.
I almost would want them to get rid of, because they had that whole kind of like random drop stuff with the modifiers, and they go into the weapon templates.
Wasn't it that there was just so fucking much?
There was a lot, and
like you'd finish a mission and you'd have like 40 drops. Yeah, and you had to spend 10 minutes going through everything, making new builds.
I'd almost like it to go even more the direction, maybe something like loadout, like where it's like I do like the idea of like putting together weapons and customizing it to what you want, but that particular implementation, it was overwhelming.
I sort of think towards like a Vermintide or a Deep Rock Galactic,
something like that.
Maybe a little bit more, because those things. Oh, Vermintide's huge with its customization, but you're just a little bit more streamlined.
Maybe a bit of a skill tree where I can pick, maybe better at certain things.
Make some more distinct builds.
Yeah,
and I certainly liked playing Shadow Warrior 2. It had really good movement, very very frantic combat, but I think hopefully they can find just that bit of balance, because I think it's a good idea at the moment. But actually, on that sort of idea of a multiplayer repeatable content thing, here's something that we've sort of stopped doing, which is talking about Kickstarters. But James linked to one earlier today called Deathground.
I think it was Deneth that linked to it. I commented on it.
Oh, sorry, Deneth. So it is a multiplayer repeatable content horror game with dinosaurs. Yeah. It is a horror Jurassic Park game. So I'm sort of thinking about it more like a Dead by Daylight sort of thing, except no one's playing the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
it's just
there's just dinosaurs
control.
There. It reminded me a lot of like maybe Dino Crisis 1.
Yeah, well, their heavily inspiration is Alien Isolation, which is a pretty good call. Oh, just checking the afternoon lights not lit my face off too badly. That's all right. I'm just glowing. I'm partly glowing. I'm so white. Anyway.
We're recording, right?
Yeah, we're recording.
Yeah,
we're always recording.
I can see the little red thing in the bottom.
Yeah. Sorry for the interlude there, but I just noticed the sun had shifted since I last looked up and just lost in James's eyes. So Island Isolation inspired, but it is multiplayer. It is sort of, you go into a mission, you go in there. Basically, they say you get loot and then you leave, but you're being stalked by dinosaurs, which are supposed to be AI controlled and everything. And looking at the team, they weren't really putting the accolades up there, but they're all experienced game dev people, just nothing of this sort of scale before. But boy, I like the idea.
Yeah, I think I commented in the Discord, I like the idea, the title with Deathground.
Deathground.
It's a terrible, the name is bad.
I mean, it's the third worst title we have today.
It's not good, but the concept looked real solid.
Yeah, I mean, the first person Jurassic Park, like we put horror, but it's like Jurassic Park, especially the first one, has a big element of horror to it. Dinosaurs are scary. Hasn't really happened. Trespasser is like our best thing.
It's probably the closest thing, yeah.
And it's just a weird historic fuck up, which I would genuinely like them just to remake it with better stuff. It could be really cool. But yeah, it's sort of this more systems driven, and when they talk about like system stuff where dinosaurs could fight other dinosaurs and stuff, we start thinking a bit Monster Hunter-y and stuff. Lots of potential, but it's just a Kickstarter at the moment, so I don't put a lot of stock in it, but I love the concept.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're sort of going through news, and we've sort of done about half of it at the moment, so fuck it, let's just continue. Speaking of games with terrible names, Ubisoft has a new Battle Royale game.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I'm covering the name up with my finger. What's it called, James?
God, because I looked at it and thought it looked all right.
Do you need anything?
Yeah.
Okay, the name is a little bit like our favorite comedy show that used to have the intro to this podcast.
Oh, it's Hyper something?
Yeah.
It's not like Hyperspace, is it?
Yes, it is Hyperspace.
Yeah, I got there. Yeah.
What a good name for a video game.
Yeah, because it's like you're in some virtual reality
You're in some kind of hyperspace?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so Ubisoft have revealed, and they did have a semi-open... No, it wasn't open.
There was an open beta, it just wasn't available in Australia.
Yeah. Sort of a tech test.
I don't care much about a Royale. I think it's kind of been done. I think that Apex Legends has sort of come in and gone, all right, we've kind of done it pretty well. We can kind of stop doing it now. But they're doing some things that are different.
I like how maybe the third or fourth most popular Battle Royale is yours. Are like, oh yeah, they came in and they fixed it, and it's
to me that was
why would anyone else make it?
That was the good one.
I don't disagree that it's the good one, but it's not like the big one.
I know. Things that kind of stood out for me from this, it's all urban environments, so a lot more verticality. It looks like there's a lot more
jump pads everywhere.
There's jump pads. The time to kill looked quite high.
Yeah.
So I could see there's going to be more interesting firefights, the ability to escape. There's no ring that comes in. It's a decay, which I thought was kind of cool.
I'm just going to get my face fully in the sun so I disappear into glow. Hello. I'll put some...
We need to put a sheet or something.
Put a bloom... I was going to, but then it got overcast and I thought we'll be fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. No one needs to see me anyway. Except for the
perverts. So it's not like a closing ring, it's a decay, which means that you can kind of still have fights in the area as it's falling apart. That's kind of cool. The crown. That was the victory conditions.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's a crown. You get a crown.
So when it gets down to the last area, there's a crown that spawns, and you can end the game by holding the crown for 30 seconds or some amount of time.
We do love any game that has a crown.
No, so I thought, it's like there's a way that can be ended without just like
the final kill.
The final kill. It's like, okay, so it's doing some stuff. It's like, it looks a bit different. I kind of wish it wasn't a battle royale. I think maybe like a team deathmatch kind of thing, or capture the flag.
Something more Shootmania Storm level?
Maybe Shootmania Storm.
Oh, shit. I don't have Trackmania written on this.
Oh, yeah, chuck that on there. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I wanted to give it a go, just because, like, I didn't mind Apex Legends playing it for a little bit, and I could see myself...
Of course, the only other Battle Royale.
The only other one that's any good. No, they're all equally Battle Royale.
What about the Culling 2?
Oh, yeah. That went well, didn't it? I don't know. It looks all right.
Okay, that's good. Speaking of Ubisoft, Trackmania came out. The new Trackmania, which I think might just be called Trackmania.
It is just Trackmania. I have it downloaded. I haven't loaded it up yet. I had to get you to explain to me how the monetization works, because it is very confusing.
The thing that's very... like, the whole story about the new Trackmania is that they came up with a new pricing structure, and their messaging around it has been perhaps the worst.
Well, I think it's good to remember with Trackmania that their pricing structure always has been fucking dumb.
It has been, and this is... I suppose this continues the transition, the tradition, and it was their attempt to fix it.
Yeah, like, it's less fucking dumb. But look, I understand it more than which of these weird modules do I need to own in the way they used to do it. I get canyons? What's canyons? I don't understand.
It's just a different tile set for the other game that you might have already owned.
It's very confusing. This one, because effectively what they've done is they've gone season pass, right? Like
pretty much.
It's basically a year 1, year 2, year 3 thing where if you buy it, they release a bunch of stuff, you get that stuff.
But it's framed more as a subscription.
Yes.
But if you subscribe and then you unsubscribe later, you still keep all the things that you got during that subscription. Because there's also a free version.
Yes. Which
you can get just to play. But you don't get access to like their dailies.
I think the track editor and things like that. Like it's like a live service. So like it's basically you can pay for a year to get into the live service stuff.
If you just want to get Trackmania and play some races, which is really all I need to do these days, you can just play the free one.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they've got all the leaderboards there for like down to the region.
Oh, like, most likely.
I assume they still do that kind of stuff.
I think Nations, when that really kicked off, we could like do Australia versus old Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the last time I got obsessed with Trackmania. Yeah. What I really want, I just want a Trackmania where the other cars are tangible. Like, I know it's not their brand.
Yeah, you just want a mode where
I just want a mode, or just like, this is a different take. This is the thing, because like I get like the whole thing is about getting perfect racing lines and doing this stuff. It's like great and everything, but sometimes this challenge of moving through other vehicles can be part of that challenge. It's like, well, if everyone's coming around here, the best line's actually on the other side of the track.
Yeah, well, I guess part of the problem is also, I think they're very good at doing their like the multiplayer for what they have.
Yeah,
and as soon as you add in collisions, it's
totally different.
It's a different ballgame
completely.
Like, as someone who's written netcode.
Yeah. But I feel like they've made this Trackmania game 8 times now.
But yeah, they could take, like, clearly it is a solved problem. Like, you know, watching like the Formula E, that's what it's called, right? Like the multiplayer Formula 1, the virtual Formula 1 stuff.
I'll take your word on this.
Yeah,
it seems like something my eyes can't focus on.
Like when there's an esport for racing with professional drivers, I assume that we've solved this to a point. Yeah. Of like, how do we resolve the lag?
I assume professional drivers typically are avoiding touching each other.
They're probably really, I mean, they do really try to not hit anyone.
Especially Formula 1, where, well, not only is it expensive to touch another car, but very deadly.
That is a very good point. Like,
they're good at getting extremely close to each other.
Oh, yes.
And I think maybe touching a tyre now and then, but... yes. So, Trackmania, weird. Yeah. But we shall find out even more details about Hyperscape and other games on Monday morning, which is after this comes out, if you listen to it immediately. Which, I mean, if you're real desperate, I hope you do. So they'll have Ubisoft Forward on Monday morning. So we've got a Devolver Digital and then Ubisoft Forward. How exciting. And then, to wrap it all up, not next Friday, but the Friday after, Xbox... Well, that's Australian time, so Thursday is the actual release in the States. We finally get our Xbox. We're going to show off our actual first-party games for the Series X.
We'll hopefully see some Halos and see what it is.
I think it's definitely confirmed that we see Halos, and then we see other things. And this will be their pitch of what the next generation is for games. And hopefully, if it wasn't going to be a big presentation, it is after seeing Sony's presentation. Because at the moment, Microsoft probably needs that PR boost. But also... we may still not see price and release date.
Yeah, they're really cagey about that.
Everyone's holding their cards, but the current rumor with Microsoft is that because they're rumored to have 2 models, the second cheaper model hasn't been revealed yet, codenamed Lockhart, but that is tentatively rumored scheduled for reveal in August. So that, if they showed both boxes, that would make sense to say like, and they're coming out this date, because they got to start taking pre-orders soon, or their whole system of bullshit falls apart.
Yeah, I guess Microsoft's probably in a good position where they could have some real differentiation between those tiers as well. Like if Microsoft was to come out and sort of go, like even processor-wise, this is like our mid-tier processor. This is our Pro.
Well, the Lockhart pitch is that it's only a 1080 machine.
Yeah. So so if they can go like, it's all these people that don't have 4K. They don't need the extra graphics to push those pixels. If they can, just have like a one that's cheaper.
Yeah, which I think it uses the same processor as the current Xbox One X. But of course, this will be known as the Xbox Series S, allegedly.
Oh god, their naming is so confusing.
Fuck it. I
really like that Sony just puts a number at the end.
It's so easy.
I understand it. Like,
hey, we released an updated version of it. What should we change the name to?
Can you imagine for like these like parents that are going to be like trying to buy their kids new Xboxes? They have to going to navigate this because especially because you can't just go in and say like, "Oh, just like the new one is the one that works with everything." Like they can go buy themselves a Xbox One X, and it's still going to run this new stuff, right? Like that's So as far as just like confusion of like which one do you get,
and in fact at the end of the day, the Xbox One X might be about the same as the Xbox Series S.
Yes, it might be. It's confusing as hell.
You shouldn't need to have like a meta tier list to understand the console releases. Just a number is good.
Yeah, it does leave them open to going like the real high tier price. And maybe that's something that Sony won't be like. Microsoft could probably get away with going, let's actually go this one, which is a little bit more, and sell it as like basically the iPhone Pro.
Microsoft is supposed to be cheaper than the PlayStation. The Series X to create is supposed to be cheaper than the PS5.
Yeah, well, I imagine there was the R&D that Sony would have put into the PlayStation 5 was pretty nuts, like from a hardware level.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Microsoft to be more traditional architecture.
Yeah, while still being but on paper more powerful.
Yeah.
Which is it's like you put all this focus on R&D to do something a bit different, but it actually means that you don't have the raw numbers. So, but we'll see. It'll be an interesting release this year because especially in Australia, the Aussie dollar hasn't been great. But also it's like, well, if you mark stuff up too much, how much of the world is currently being affected by Corona? But how many will you actually be produced?
Well, I think that's going to make it sell even more. Like, this is probably going to...
Potentially.
Yeah, I think...
But also, there's going to be a lot of people that may have previously been in the market that aren't. Because not even that they can't necessarily get the money out, but they also don't know if they're going to be... If they might not be getting a job anytime.
It's actually kind of... It's going to be interesting to see how this affects Microsoft's approach with making it so everything is going to be backwards compatible. Yeah. Because I think there's going to be a lot of demand. There already is. Like, you look at, like, with COVID, like... how hard it was to like get a Quest or get a Switch. Like
apparently a Quest is $1,200 Australian at the moment.
Jesus,
that's like for the official channels.
Wow,
I was like, fuck, that's $500 more than I paid for.
I'm glad I got the price I did. And so maybe when the next gen comes out and people because the economy's been hit so hard, so many people have lost their jobs. They still want something. There's going to be like, oh, I can buy myself this $400 machine. That's going to play the new stuff.
Or the people that are buying a Series X are trading in their One X's. And the One X is still a pretty valid machine, but you can pick it up for $200.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I can still play Halo Infinite.
I can still get a Halo Infinite.
And if I ever want to get the better version, all I need is the newer console.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Microsoft was doing in this last generation, which they played around with, was their rental system, which was basically it was like $30 a month or so for 2 years, but it gave you Xbox Game Pass, Gold, which has gold. So it was Xbox, whatever the whole bundle thing was, the Ultimate Pass. And eventually, at the end of the 2 years, you owned the console, and you actually didn't pay any more than the retail price plus. That.
So it's almost like a mobile phone kind of plan.
Yeah, that sort of contract. Yeah, it was like a phone contract. And the deal was quite affordable and wasn't. I mean, other than perhaps people not being able to pay it off and then getting something reclaimed.
Well, if it is $30 a month, because you can just do the math.
That might have been US on that.
Yeah, and you're sort of paying the subsidies. That's subsidizing the hardware because it's over such a long period of time. I mean, that's not.
It's a bloody good deal, especially.
Not bad. Yeah.
Like that's the sort of thing where like a teenager that just has like a part-time job or something. It's like, oh, I can't afford to go buy Australia. Let's realistically say an $800 machine. Yeah. But I can spend $40 a month. I can afford that. Yeah. That's what I do with my mobile phone.
And if you're already paying, $15, $20 or whatever it is for live anyway. It's like, and then and
you're using Game Pass, which means you don't actually buy any games really.
Yeah, so then it's like, well, that's your whole gaming budget right there. Like, I don't know.
It's a very attractive prospect. Except for us, who are middle-aged men, and we'll just buy everything.
Everything.
Wow, we're rich. Sorry, on paper we're poor, but we look at all the controllers. We have.
So many. I wonder what this thing's worth.
The RE chainsaw controller.
That is
$350?
rare. $350?
I reckon you could. Oh, let's take a bet. I'll just look it up.
Yeah, I reckon this.
I was going to say $100.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere around 100 as well. Let me say.
I opened my phone and now notifications.
Oh no! Damn it. Yeah, I'm going to be with you. I think this would be about 100.
Oh, come on, you have to bet.
All right, 120.
You should have just said 101. Like you bastard.
What's it go for?
Chainsaw controller.
God, this thing. Holding it hurts my hands. I mean, it's a good showpiece. Man, I bet all these people are wishing they were watching the YouTube version now.
What did you say?
I said 120.
So the prices I'm seeing, this is buying through actual stores.
Yeah,
is 120 to 130.
Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, I don't imagine there's a lot of these things around.
No, 300 on Amazon. Yeah, fun. But yes, if you can't, so RE4 GameCube controller. You can kind of see it if you've never seen one on the stream. But for the audio appeal, the thing to understand is the controller, it's a chainsaw. And you hold it one hand at the back and
like
one
you
hand
would
at
a
the
chainsaw.
side, which actually makes the two thumbsticks perpendicular to each other, which is just insane as a fucking idea. just turn one half of your controller next time 90 degrees from the other half and try to play a game.
What I love about the paint job on this is because surely someone actually in a factory
it's hand splattered.
It was hand splattered this thing. Like all this stuff, you're like, that's probably just someone's thumbprint where they've just gone bloop bloop.
Oh, we could use it to get through security.
Yeah.
What a piece with that fine layer of dust on top of it. See, that's how you know it's terrible. It's gathering dust, just like every other inanimate object in the fucking world. It's always been an insult that made no sense. My console's just gathering dust. Like, was that good or bad? That's what a console does.
Yeah, like what are you doing with this thing? You taking it outside?
Yeah, my PS4 gathers as much dust as my Ouya does, and one of them's just used to hold up a figure. But my Switch doesn't gather dust.
No, that thing. Yeah,
I'm always playing porn games on it.
Okay. I spent some time getting some Apple news this week. If you want to talk some Apple stuff for all our mobile game players,
sure.
I learned a bit about what Apple's doing with Game Center.
Oh! And will this ever be advertised or used in any way whatsoever?
Probably not.
General public will ever know about?
So, Apple tried Game Center a long time ago.
I remember it.
And it was terrible. They went for this idea of like a pool table for like what it looked like. And it was never particularly well integrated into the games. So they're having another stab at Game Center. And the way they're doing now is sensible. So they've got things you'd expect, friends lists and leaderboards and achievements and things like that. But now it is just fully integrated into the actual games at an operating system level. Mm-hmm. So at any point you can kind of tap like your little avatar and you get the pop-up and you can see all the stuff like... Madness, I know.
No, look at how bright I am on the camera. I'm Starman. Sorry, I was checking my phone for show-related things. Yeah. Sam won't be joining us because he only just saw me. This is a late notice thing.
Yeah, it was a bit. But yeah, I mean, if you're someone who likes playing stuff competitively on mobile, Apple is adding a bunch of stuff, which is going to make it easier. So one of the things that they're adding, which I quite liked, was the idea of periodic leaderboards. So there's going to be a thing where you could say you're going to try and get a it's a bit like that.
I've got these pair of pants.
Yeah, the pants might help. So things like maybe there'll be like every 15 minutes there'll be a leaderboard. So if you want to get into like a rhythm of like trying to top a leaderboard or something like that, it was kind of a nice feature. They're going to be bringing in more stuff into the store for seeing what your friends are playing. And this is actually what got me as a developer.
Okay, I'm back on board.
Yeah.
I no longer have the sun blaring in my face as much.
This is as a developer that had me kind of interested. Because there's a big problem on mobile with discoverability. Basically, it is all driven by Instagram ads and Facebook ads driving to free-to-play games, which are all owned by the one company that then feed into each other. That's basically what mobile is at the moment. Where now, when you go into the store, there'll be what your friends are playing. And so there's now a new way for stuff to bubble to the top. And I think it's just going to be much easier now for me to see, such and such is playing blah. It's like, maybe I'll check that out. And it's like, now there's a leaderboard, and I can start, competing with them on that level and things like that. So it's nice to see Apple kind of revisiting this stuff. I'm sure Google already does a lot of this stuff anyway.
Why would you think that?
But it's nice to see Apple, coming back to this and actually having a pretty good implementation. So if you're into mobile gaming, it's going to get a little bit better with iOS 14.
Yeah, look, I only find games when they're like linked on a blog I read or something, or in the case of Boo! ! Which I was just looking up then. Because a friend says, I've been playing this mobile game called Boo! And that's the only way I find anything on any of these fucking stores because discoverability is awful.
Well, now it's going to be, you start playing, if you had an iPhone, you're playing Boo!
Big if.
I'd go to the store and I'd say, Paul's playing Boo! What's this? Oh, okay. Now whatever the hell Boo is, I don't know what this thing is. Well, now we can start competing if it is a game in which there is points.
No.
It's not?
So Boo, and this guy makes a lot of small games. Bart Bonte. Good name. It's very simple. So I've got a pumpkin. I've got a bunch of pots with color in them, and I've got a bunch of like things I can put on the pumpkin, like hats and stuff. It says I want you to make this face on the pumpkin. So you can put it on a bit and dip it in the color, and you just have to work up the procedure of building a face up. There's like 21 levels, and that's the whole game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he makes a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So once I'm done with this one, I'll go, what else has Bart Bonte made? And now I'm in the Bart Bonte ecosystem. The Bart Bonte-verse. Finally. That's all right. So that's Boo! ! Good. Okay. So Boo's covered. So there was a bunch of Pokemon news. We covered last time that they had the new expansion pack came out, which we knew a lot about. It had a sword and a shield in it.
God, we really need Sam here for that one.
And also they announced Pokemon Snap, and then they said, "Don't worry, everyone. There's another reveal next week."
Yep.
And then the next week came, and that reveal was a new Pokemon game brought to you by Tencent, which of course makes the internet not crazy. Continuing that, the new game was a Pokemon MOBA called Pokemon Unite for mobile phones and Switch.
Yeah.
But I find most people seem to miss out the end
Switch part.
They're very angry about the 10-cent Pokemon game on mobile. And it does look a little cheap.
So, you know how like there's a lot of Pokemon mobile games?
I'll take your word for it.
There's a lot.
I know. I've actually played a bunch, and I played them for 20 minutes, and then I forget they ever existed.
Yeah, but they're there. They exist.
Pokemon Cafe was on one of the streams I noticed.
Yeah.
It's a gem matching game.
Yeah, there's a few gem matching games, and they're generally not very good. They're pretty. They're not really like of the same caliber as like the mainline Pokemon. This new one I thought looked fine. The idea of a Pokemon MOBA makes sense to me. Having evolutions mid-battle to get new skills. It's nice that it's going to be playable cross-platform.
The game is called Pokemon Unite. I never said that.
Sorry, probably the bit that I was most turned off by the idea is element powers are taken out, which seems like...
So you can't be super effective.
Yes. And that seems like a bit of a... I mean, maybe just it makes balancing it a lot easier. But when...
But also, wouldn't the picks part of a MOBA be super important in a Pokemon?
Yeah, it would. So I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity because that would definitely bring something in.
I guess the strength differentiation could just be it's like there's no other MOBA where you see the other character running towards yours and it's like, well,
I know I can win.
There's literally no way I can beat this one because of the elemental difference here. But they could have scaled it back.
Like even just like if it's a 10% bonus or something, just, I don't know, like it'd be nice if that element was in there. That you, like I could see this power had an element, I know it's going to be more effective against this person. But they still might win, but if they're better at using their abilities...
So I couldn't watch this because my eyes can't focus on these concepts.
Yes.
Everything is...
It looks fine.
I mean, honestly, the Tencent part's the part I can focus the most on. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the thing that's going to come through is that the scoring is a bit different to a typical MOBA. It's more like a sports match where you can like get a point and then sort of reset.
Yeah, I think it's like there's almost was it like a ball or something?
Yeah, because I kind of liked the idea of that structural change to a MOBA because you get the problem with it. And some people can get around this, but generally it's like when you start to lose, you continue to lose, and that's it. But if it's sort of like I
mean, I kind of didn't mind it because sometimes with these things they can just be like reskins of another game. It's like here's the other MOBA we've just come in and we just swapped out the models. It looks like they've done some stuff to make it unique to Pokemon, to give it some unique mechanics. It wasn't like when I play like Stellaris Mobile. I'm pretty sure that's just another game called Nova something or other where they've just slapped on a new skin. Like it doesn't really feel like they've made it that Stellaris.
Just got a new hat.
This one felt like it's doing a thing. It's like it's doing its own thing. I did learn more about the Pokemon fandom during this whole thing.
Well, what was I need to learn?
Well, I didn't realize how passionate they can be.
How did you not realize this?
Because I looked at the game and thought, oh, that looks fine, like what they're doing. And then I saw all the comments about it being that everyone wanted to be a remake of which one? Which is, I don't know, one of the ones.
Because this is a problem. And actually, we'll bring it up here. When you say on the internet that we're going to reveal in a week, people's imaginations go wild. And you get problems like Microsoft saying, we're going to show off the first stuff of next generation. Get excited.
Yeah.
And then people got excited and it was a fuck up. Or we're going to do a Pokemon reveal next week, and it's a Tencent mobile game.
Yes.
Yeah. Or I mean, it was the one last night, which was great, which was they had a live stream of Origami King gameplay, which I watched. And I'm quite excited by. It's not traditional battle system, but I don't need the battle. Like that's not why I was there. I didn't want a shit battle system.
You didn't want Sticker Star.
Yeah. But it's this puzzle thing. It's fine. But anyway, it's only a week away. We'll talk about it when it comes out. And they said, and then we'll be showing off WayForward's new game afterwards. And then, after they made that announcement, someone else in the company went, to Twitter. Guys, it's a third-party license.
Yeah.
And, because people were already going, WayForward, what are WayForward good at? Oh, they're good at side-scrolling.
Yeah.
What is it? Metroid. It's going to be a Metroid platformer. 100% guaranteed, confirmed. Here we go, quick. Start naming my child Samus again. And there were a few other ones, like Wario Land, that were trending. Not one of our properties. Maybe don't get too excited. And I assume this got announced because of a partnership with, because I think Warner Brothers is publishing. So, fuck. What's the... WayForward is working on a licensed game of... Well, it's not Pokemon. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not Card Captors. It's further down the list than those. It's not Pogs. It's
Tazos, right? It's Glow Caps.
It's Bakuras. It's a card battling game.
But it's like a C-tier card battling game, is it?
Yeah, except they took the card battling part out of the game. It just looks like the most shitty generic Like I've seen a lot of shit games in my time, and this is. That's the end of the sentence. Like, it was great because I was like, oh, this has to be something in between the announcement. I'm like, oh no, that's WayForward right there. Not for me, I guess, or for anyone. Because it's weird because it was a thing. Apparently, it's been rebooted recently.
Yeah.
But it's something that's sort of like, not quite us, but like a mid-20s person might have grown up with. But kids don't know what it is or care. And this is a shitty kids game. It's like... I don't know. It's like if they suddenly release a shitty kids game for like Techno Man, you're like, oh man.
I mean, I'd be excited.
But if it's a shitty kids game,
I don't want to be a shitty kids game.
You'd play a Techno Man game if it was good.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna be excited about a Techno Man game.
How about a Nightman game?
Watch out for the limo!
Man, talking about references. I was showing that off at work the other day. Nightman was spectacular. Not to be confused with Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's actually made it harder to find Nightman now.
It actually has. It has. Now, like, I'll just Google that. Oh, shit. It's very funny, but this is the Nightman we're talking about.
It's not my Nightman.
If he's not Nightman by night and the world's greatest sax machine, jazz saxophone player by day.
While riding a tram, which was struck by lightning, had his brain tuned to the frequency of evil.
Fucking nightmare. Nintendo should just buy that IP. Yeah. So Baccarat or whatever I was talking about. Okay, we're going to do an excitement level here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to, from your excitement, I'll try to raise my hand up as how excited you are. They announced Crash 4. That was my audible interpretation.
Yeah.
Toys for Jobs making it.
Yeah, I saw it and thought that looks like a good Crash.
I feel Activision is going to be disappointed with the sales.
Yes,
because I think they got amazing sales for the
well,
remaster
the problem that
trilogy.
scratched the itch.
Yeah,
like if that trilogy hadn't come out, then it looks like a good Crash game.
But the thing is, this isn't the fourth Crash game. There were a bunch of other ones that we just forgot about because it would have went.
Yeah,
it's just like when the millennials went, my childhood.
Yeah,
but they already did my childhood.
I don't want to say anything bad about it because it looked fine.
It looked fine.
Yeah,
it looked like a pretty traditional Crash game.
Yeah.
Which up until the point I played Trilogy, I just said, "Man, those games are always overrated shit, weren't they?" And then I went, "Oh, they're not as bad as I remember."
I was like, I like Crash. I played Crash 1 a lot.
I just played a good 3D platformer like Mario. You know what's a smart idea? An obstacle course where you run running towards the camera.
Look, it worked. It looked well in Sonic Adventures.
No, it didn't.
No, it's being facetious.
It
was fucking horrible.
Your delivery was so convincing that I thought you were genuine there for a second.
No, it wasn't.
But the whale was chasing you. It was great. But remember, even in Sonic Adventure, when the camera went in front of the character, normally you didn't actually have control. Maybe you had to keep holding the forward button.
Yeah, well, that was all you could do.
Actually expect you to jump or dodge anything. Yeah. Crash, fundamental concept of the game. Fuck. How I never got past the design doc, I don't know. Yeah. But, I mean, when I replayed it, it was better than I remembered, so, I'm just a bastard, I guess. Which is not news to anyone. So, the Crucible. Well, just Crucible, sorry, not The Crucible. The Crucible is a play about witches.
Yes.
Which would make a great battle royale, I think. There's 100 people join a town. Only one will remain unburnt. But anyway, Amazon's big... well, it wasn't really a battle royale, but sort of a... character-based multiplayer game, squad-based thing.
This is Amazon's games division who are trying very hard to...
Came out.
Yep.
And everyone said, what the fuck is this? And then it came not out.
Yeah, they unreleased it.
Yeah, they unreleased the game and said, back to the drawing board. If you already had it downloaded, you get to keep playing it and be part of the closed beta. But if you didn't download it in that time, which I did not.
I did not.
You're out until they get it out. They've also just delayed, what's it called? Two Worlds?
Whatever.
Their big MMO.
Yeah, their MMO thing. I don't think it's Two Worlds, but yeah, I know the one.
Something Worlds. New World or something?
I think it might be New World.
Yeah. Well, maybe that means they're taking some time to get the quality up on these things. Because, man, everything I saw about Crucible was a game that lacked a design document, basically.
Well, that's the thing I've noticed with New World. It's a New World, whatever. It seems to have a bit of an identity crisis.
Yeah.
And it started off as one thing and has now turned into another thing.
It wants to have some of everything to please everything, but in that doesn't become anything specific. I'm checking the name.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's New World.
Amazon New World.
Had a good trailer.
Just the one world.
Yeah, I think this is the Lumberyard stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be Lumberyard, Which is
Crytek. It's like Crytek's branch.
Yeah. They like ported off. And,
they're kind of doing their own thing with it.
Yeah. Okay, we're almost done on things that count as. So the big one, which I think it all came out afterwards. There's been a really wide number of I can't think of the word. Not sexual assault. Of what's the word I want? Just sexual abuse, sexual abuse and harassment claims throughout the industry. We're not going to go a deep dive in them because I've only written down one. It's a bit varied, but probably the biggest one really that affects gamers the most is Chris Avalon.
Yes,
who is perhaps I would say the most well-known writer in gaming because I don't really know too many others, and most of the other ones I do know the name of aren't really known for like. They're more like people that are celebrities that happen to have written something. While Avalon became a celebrity because of everything he wrote. That said, I'm not trying to take Chris's work down a peg. We can take Chris down a peg in a second, don't worry. But while Chris has undoubtedly written on a lot of very good games, can you ever pick something written by Avalon?
Oh, really. I just like when I hear something has been written by
you
him,
just imagine it has a good standard.
I imagine it's going to be all right.
Yeah. Like he's a very solid writer,
Yeah.
but he's not doesn't have a strong individual voice. Which I only say because so these abuse allegations came out. Inappropriate messages to people as companies, inappropriate dealing with people at at networking events, to the extent that a lot of people had already banned him, but it was all kept under the radar, and that's where I'm not like there was a bunch of stuff with Ubisoft too, and some of that I found a little bit weird. Not that they shouldn't come out, but because someone had collected them for a while, and they like, oh, here's the big bombshell, but it was actually a bunch of different companies, and it's like, well, had these people not.
Was it a bunch of individual cases that were disconnected?
Was it that there was a lack of management dealing with these, or was it a lack of these things going to upper management?
Yeah.
Which it could have, and I'm not going to, but it's just like... So anyway, when that came out, it's just like Twitter, I'm like, it was Twitter the first step for this, but with Avalon, it wasn't the first step. Wherever, all these places he'd been, they'd known, and they swept it on the rug because Avalon's a name. And Avalon's such a name, he's dropped from every project that he's currently working on. And you go, wow, that's a big deal, isn't it? Well, for instance, he's on Vampire the Masquerade 2.
He's still on it?
Blood Alliance. No, he was on it.
Yeah.
And so, it's going to be hard. Like, are you going to take his work out? Like, he didn't put any of his work in yet. Because he's there as a name. He's not necessarily working.
Yes, he's there.
That's why he's on so many games at once.
Yeah.
Because they just want him to write a quest, and then they can say written by Chris Avalon.
Yeah.
And now that his stock's gone down,
like, well,
it's not that actually hard to get rid of him in that. I think all industries have problems with sexism and power hierarchies and stuff like that. I think the biggest shitter about this is people like Chris. Like I don't think Chris is well, I don't know him personally. I've never spoken to a man, but I don't think he is necessarily a monster at heart. What he is someone that took a little bit too much rope, and then the industry around him said that's okay.
Yeah.
And then he sort of doing it. So if it had been dealt with responsibly by responsible management
there was a
at
report,
the beginning,
it was a warning, it was given to him, told this isn't okay, and
it's like less people would be hurt.
Yeah,
he could have grown as a person in more at a time. But at the moment, like Chris Avalon he's basically done for now. Yeah. Whether or not there can be a resurgence and a rebuilding of trust or anything over time, that's for the world to work out. But I think that's the worst thing about management protecting people like this. Everyone could be better if we deal with it immediately. Yeah. The more we ignore it, but then it's awesome. I mean, we all have our own experiences dealing with shitty management too, who are often the problem. So who do you go in that point? Yeah. Unfortunately, the answer is Twitter.
Yes, and then you're getting into mob justice and...
And boy, even that, like... have you ever done John Ronson's book, You've Been Publicly Shamed?
No.
It's very good. I think it starts off with that woman that... she was going to a new job in Africa, and she tweeted before she got on the plane... Just going over to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS, ha 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 ha.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
And then she turned off her phone. Yeah. And when she landed, her life had been destroyed. Yeah. Now that woman had like 80 friends on Twitter. She wasn't anyone of note. But everyone piled on the justice and called up her company and her friends and her family and everything. And like, well, it's a shitty joke. I mean, I wouldn't be amiss of saying I've made some shitty fucking jokes in my life. They're not normally part that level. I save them for when we're drunk and lying in the backyard.
Hopefully no one's recording anything.
I
guess like one of the things is like everyone has made terrible out of bad taste jokes at some point in their life.
Oh yeah.
I've especially younger, I would have said some incredibly dumb things.
Oh yeah. Hey, we have gone back and looked at some of the things we said at the beginning of this show. And we have had some things, sometimes slip-ups, sometimes just a bit fucking ignorant on our own part, which is part of our growth and everything. You know, we're still not perfect people. I'm far from it. Oh. You're pretty close.
Always room for improvement.
Yes.
And it's just the world we live in now where these things, they're not forgotten. It's so easy to amplify.
But the problem with Paul is that I know all the problems with it. But when I see like some racist fucking bitch like chasing someone down the street or something, because I was thinking one in particular where this woman's just chasing this black man who happens to be walking down the street, and then like they find out who she is and like she loses her. I'm still like, get her. Yeah.
Well, there's
where's all my like couldn't we all become better people rhetoric now? No, give me some blood.
Give me that pitchfork.
I'm in on this every time. I'm like, oh, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a fucking hypocrite.
It's I don't know. I guess it's this the whole cancel culture thing, isn't it? Right? Like, is this Yeah, is that a different thing? I'm still not totally sure on what cancel culture is. I'm going to be confused by it.
Cancel culture is... It's like the new, like, world's got too politically correct. And while there's some things that are a bit not always great, most of it is people just being called on their bullshit.
And then they go cancel culture.
And then the cancel culture is the free market half the time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you're shit, so we're not going to support you. The companies that work with those people say, well, we want that audience, so you can fuck off now. They're like, cancel culture. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have been shit.
I guess there's that whole thing of like freedom of speech isn't freedom of consequence.
Yeah, it's not freedom of consequence.
Yeah.
And the thing, like, so, yeah, and no, I can say this without throwing anyone on the bus. Ex Bondi, was it Studio Bondi? No, it was Bondi. Anyway, we worked for Rockstar, made LA Noire.
Yeah.
So they just announced they're making a new game, and the original director of LA Noire is in charge of it.
Oh, wasn't that the guy with the really bad practices?
Yeah. The person that, and one thing I'm surprised is like, how the hell does he get a team together? Who the fuck wants to work with that guy? It's like, that guy was cancelled, and he's just been given another game by Rockstar. So
maybe he's gotten better.
Maybe
that was a long time ago.
Maybe look, and that's sometimes the other side of it. It's like maybe I shouldn't just be throwing him out. I know a lot of people that worked with him aren't willing to forgive, but new people, new team, and people do change and grow. So I guess that's for him to prove now.
Yeah,
and hopefully there's management there to keep a fucking eye on him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That it's like, maybe he should not be allowed to do a thing again, but he certainly should have an eye kept on him. And have some strict rules about workplace practices in those places, because it was
bad.
Yeah, it's like, I work 80 hours a week. Why shouldn't you?
Just taking young people and just burning them out. And
Yeah, it's not great. But anyway, that was our quick story on Chris Avalon.
Yeah. Yes.
Who will not be writing any games for a while.
Yeah, not directly.
Yeah, I can't. And the Ubisoft stuff, which I sort of glanced over, there was a step down of the creative director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I think the head of their one of the leads of Ubisoft has an editorial team now, which is sort of overseeing the feel of all their games being made, and one of them stepped down for that, and there's a bunch of other smaller ones around as well. I haven't really delved too deep into that one because there's quite a lot, and Ubisoft in response is setting a third party to investigate things. And
it sounds like they're doing responsible things.
That's the hard thing, because when that news came out, it was met with nothing but cynicism about. Yeah, it's like, of course they'd say that. That's they'll control everything and they'll be able to control the narrative and everything, which is also potentially true. But also, what's the right thing to do?
Look, I'm not so cynical that I don't think that there'd be some goodwill in companies. Like, most villains don't exist, and most people do want to do well.
I've got to say, Yves and co at Ubisoft have always seemed pretty genuine to me. Yeah. So maybe they're wolves in sheep's clothing. I don't know. But it feels like it's always been a sense of community around there.
Yeah. So I think if something
everyone I know who worked for Ubisoft has liked the place.
If something like that has been made, I'm not going to be so cynical that I think it's there as like a spin department or something like that. It's like, there's probably, whether or not it's effective, different question. Yeah. But I would assume the intent is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James is the final word on that.
I guess like sticking on Ubi for a little bit, there was the Valhalla gameplay leak.
Oh yeah,
that happened a couple of weeks ago, whatever. Which looked okay. It looked like more Assassin's Creed. The problem I had is I've just played 50 odd hours of Odyssey, and I'm at the point where I have cool fantasy shit to do. And so when presented with, do you want to go do kind of like real world history stuff again for 40 hours to get to, eventually there's going to be more, I assume they'll do the same thing, where there'll be like a, fantasy shit somewhere like in the DLC. I don't know. I'm still pretty good with Odyssey. It's a good game. So
I got 2 points to make. One also has a problem that fucking Ghost of Tsushima comes out next week. I'm
really hoping it's not as big as Odyssey.
So this is just a completely random thing. Yeah. I have not looked it up. I just loved the idea of it. So you know how the Vikings had a reputation of raping and pillaging?
Yes, they weren't the best for that.
So maybe they didn't. It might be propaganda, because they apparently were very, very handsome and bathed, and so the women would just want to go with them.
that guy doesn't smell and looks all right.
Yeah. I'm like, boy, I hope that's true. That's a much nicer history. Oh, all these handsome men are coming around. Bye. They don't smell like shit, or at least less shitty. Anyway, God, man, handsome history would be much better history. All these things are wrong. Okay, let's talk about some video games we've been playing. First up, let's talk. Oh no, okay. We're starting with a VR game. Sorry, Fiona. We need to talk about Phantom Covert Ops, which will from now on be referred to as Stealth Kayak.
Thank you, because it's a name I can never remember either.
It is not since Horizon Zero Dawn has a series of words been so meaningless in a title. But anyway, it's I think I've projected my feelings on how this game started once, which was someone said, "How can we move in VR?" And someone was like, "You could paddle a canoe. Should we make a canoeing game?"
Yeah.
Nah. Let's just make Metal Gear Solid, but with a canoe.
With a canoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
To the point, like early on in the game, it even has like a helicopter that comes in and someone comments on. Like it's like
it's straight up the first like. It's not in the game, but in the first level, one of the docks I'm sure is just the starting dock of Metal Gear Solid.
The menus, like the sound effects of like it's not quite the dish 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 like the gunshot when you, but it's damn close.
It's very close.
The color palette, 100%.
Yep.
Playing on the Quest where it's downgraded visuals.
They should like ultra kill. They should add wobbly textures.
Could you make that in VR? Oh, it's already.
I think it would be fine because the thing is the geometry would be solid.
It'd just be the weird
get
that floating point precision issue.
I don't think that would cause any more motion sickness.
Color palette, very Metal Gear. Playing
story,
very Metal Gear. David Hayter, very Metal Gear.
David Hayter.
David Hayter is in there. Even like playing on the Quest where it's got downgraded visuals, kind of just makes it look more like Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah. Well, probably Metal Gear Solid 2. Is about to say what's on par with. It's a game which I don't know if I want that kind of game in VR still. Not because I think there's anything inherently wrong with the mechanic of paddling through and the stealth's very forgiving, which is nice. It's more the session length. Like this is the kind of the problem, and also not clear checkpointing. It does not checkpoint. Like you don't get a nice little checkpoint.
I thought you did.
I have not noticed anything to tell me when it's checkpointed.
I guess maybe I'm just assuming that checkpoints whenever the mission objective changes, but that would be quite far apart.
Yeah, there is a bit of a gap. And this is not.
I mean, I just don't die. I don't know what your problem is.
And this is more, I suppose, how fit do I think it is, like this style of game for VR? Because the kind of games I play in VR tend to be very short session. Probably with the exception of Alex, which was I played longer. Also standing up, which I think somehow made it. I don't know. Like when I sit down, I don't know. I'm trying to go with this.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
You've lost your thought of training.
Yeah. It's not a game that I want to play a lot of, or I want to be able to drop out of very quickly. Yeah. And because I don't have that clear distinction of like how much progress am I losing, I kind of don't like. I find it hard to like go back to because I don't know how much I've lost. I have nausea problems with it. Like I was playing it today, and
so I thought that was interesting because both you and myself and two of our other friends are playing it, and we all use VR pretty regularly, and all of us had some issues.
Yeah,
with nausea.
The first time I played it wasn't so bad,
yeah.
And I think this time when I was playing it this morning, I started going a lot faster. And I was paddling and kind of doing the turns. Because, it's got this thing where you can do sharp turns, which doesn't work how I want it to work. Because it doesn't work like a real canoe.
I found the sharp turn button, I really only used when I was standing still and needed to rotate in the spot. If I'm just paddling, I can control it like a normal canoe. So I can stick one paddle in and use it as a rudder to turn myself around and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's weird how you got to hold the button and paddle.
But you don't.
To do the sharp turn.
Yeah, that will help, but you can still do a sharp turn without holding the button.
Yeah, but not as sharp as the one where you
not as sharp.
Yeah,
that's artificially sharp.
Yeah, like the artificially sharp one. Because my first reaction when I got in to do the sharp turn was basically kind of do a reverse paddle to kind of get the thing to kind of turn. And so I was like, it's not quite the way I expected. It's close.
I found there's this terrible bug in it that I also have in the real world where when I paddle a canoe, I veer slightly to the right. And I don't know how they replicated that bug in the game because
this use your user ID. Yeah. And it's like we enable that bug for Paul. It's got like nice little touches with like the haptics. I think feel like so when it's in the water, like it. I mean,
it's got a good general feel to it.
Yeah, like it feels good.
It's really intelligently put together. So you're in a kayak, and because of that, it means that there's no turning your body. It's a seated experience, and that if it ever goes out, then once you just look forward and hit reset because you're supposed to be sitting and looking forward. And because of that, you've got on one side you've got your paddle. And you pull it up and you grab it with two hands and you paddle along and it feels pretty good on the whole. And as I say, it was accurate enough that it replicated my actual problem when I'm paddling in real life. So that was a pretty good sign, I thought. On the other side, you've got a sniper rifle. And this I thought was great. So I held it up in front of my face and my vision was all fucked up.
Yep.
And then I went, oh shit, it's just an eyepiece. So I closed one eye.
You know how that fucked me?
Yeah.
Because I held it up and it assumed it was going to be my left eye. And I cannot physically only close my left eye.
Really?
I can only squint with my closed I can only look out one eye with my right.
Yeah.
I lack the motor skill to do it. I can't.
Well, you're looking out the right eye. That's unless you switch it to be left hand.
Luckily I did find if I really hold it up to my right eye, it will go to that. So
so if you set it up so the sniper rifle's on your left hand side.
It is, yeah.
You can switch that.
Yeah, I think I'll get because basically what it does is it changes the one camera to be so it forces you to squint.
Yeah, it's asking like what your preferred hand is, but what it means is what your preferred eye is.
Yeah, because I couldn't look through the thing because it was like I can't use just my left eye. I have to be more.
So but it also means that you can then open the other eye and you can still survey the environment around you and you hold the front hand to stabilize it. And it's pretty easy. It's also a machine gun. And you've got
a stealth pistol
that's on your chest.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of like sound grenades and extra ammo clips. And there's a pair of binoculars which you grab, hold up to your eyes.
Yeah, which works well.
And all of these things, because all the equipment is right in front of you and it never moves because you're always in the static position. And when you're done with it, you don't put it back, you just release it.
And it just goes
snaps back.
Yeah.
Which means it's really, really easy to grab all this equipment when you need it. If someone suddenly spots you and you're like, oh, fuck, you can grab a weapon. You don't have to look to grab a weapon. You just grab the weapon and
it's pretty good with how they've spaced everything out that as long as you put your hand near your chest and grab, you're going to get the pistol. Like, it's not like you have to, like, really be accurate.
Yeah. And when the binoculars, when you hold them up, you take a photo, it'll mark anything in the environment that's worth knowing. Yeah. So enemy characters, interactable objects, stuff like that. Each level has like a special secret baddie, although they're not that secret. They're normally just walking around like everyone else. And so whilst if you're trying to stealth it, you're not supposed to kill anyone. You're allowed to kill those fuckers by shooting them in the head, which I do. I always wish, so far at least in the game, I'm not that deep into it. There's not been any real puzzle shooting those people. I just shoot them and that's it. Yeah. I hope that changes a bit. I hope they become a bit more challenging to get those people later. There's a whole lot of interactive environment, like opening up panels and moving switches.
Which I have a little bit of nausea problems there, like I do with the space game, the ISS space station.
Yeah. Well, you find that anytime you're moving yourself by grabbing and moving yourself,
that really gets me.
Which is weird. That's one of the movements I like that best.
Yeah,
it doesn't affect me
so
at all.
it'll do things like if there's items or something to pick up, then it's like there'll normally be the yellow handle that you can grab and use it to kind of pull yourself and then open it. It's just smart, like it works, but just that motion of like, ugh.
I wish there were more things to grab in the environment to stable yourself. Like you shoot across into some reeds and like you're still moving and want to stop. It's like, just let me grab some shit.
Yeah, can I just grab the reeds,
grab
please?
The reeds. Yeah, it'd be very interactive if you could do that. So as a stealth game, it's pretty easy on the whole.
It's pretty forgiving stealth.
Which you can turn up the difficulty. Maybe it turns up sensitivity or something. But typically, I saw a thing this week which was bullshit. But I'll repeat it here anyway because it kind of applies to this game. Tall grass is lazy game design because it's a thing you go into and suddenly there's no more risk of any problem. And this game is a little bit like that, where really I had the same thing when I played through that rat game, Plague Tale.
Yeah.
Where you get to an environment, you look ahead of you, and you don't go, what's going on here? You go, okay, what's the pattern of long grass?
Yeah.
There. Okay. And I'll just shoot between those things when there's an opening. And that's how I'm playing the game on the whole. Which, while it feels cool and it feels good going through this environment and you get to listen to little conversations as you get close to people, it does make it not very tense most of the time.
No, well, it's very... I mean, yeah, I guess it's very clear to see, like, oh, okay, there I can go under the... I can go to the reeds here, I can go through this crate here, I can go under the jetty here, and there's the exit. And you plot it out and like, okay, cool, all right. That's kind of how I go.
Scoot about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe... Cause yeah, like I'm kind of like you. I'm still pretty early on.
The real panic comes in when you go like, I'm going to scoot behind that. And you go and you realize it's a little bit too small for the kayak and you're not supposed to go that way. And then you're facing a wall in a kayak and you're trying to... and there's a boat coming up behind you and you're quickly trying to back up and paddle around.
I like the boats. I think the boats are a nice threat. It's sort of like... You feeling pretty safe. And then it's like, oh, you can hear it. Like, oh no, there's a boat. Those things will spot me. But even then, they're not that hard to avoid. I had one coming straight for me. I'm like, nah, just go around. Because
things only really see you if the spotlight's on you.
Yeah.
So you just avoid
the spotlight.
So if you're feeling brazen, you can pretty much paddle most of the time and you'll find a path through things.
Yeah. They say like you're meant to be quiet sometimes as well, but I've just been...
Yeah, I do it. Like I'll do, like, I'll get up a lot of speed and then I'll like hold the paddle up and I'll coast past someone. But I actually don't think it makes a difference. But again... One of the strengths of VR, as we said before, is performative. Like, maybe it doesn't matter, but if I'm going to be in this environment... Sorry, just a little bit of indigestion there. If I'm going to be in this environment, like, I want to play, I guess. So I'm going to be... Yeah, I'm going to play into the fantasy, even if maybe the game doesn't really support it. So I feel like it's a very good game, but it's not like the killer app that I hoped it would be.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think the pacing of it I struggle with. Just for like, I kind of wish that it was almost more just mission based. Like, it doesn't have to be this ongoing thing. If it was more like,
oh yeah, because it's mission based, but it's like
it's
all the same.
But if it was like level 1, here is 10 minutes. Level 2, here is 12 minutes.
A little bit more variation in the look as well.
Yeah, I think that will probably for VR as a format. I think because even I think. Alex did a pretty good job at being discrete chunks. Yeah. There would always be a point in which I'm like, okay, I can put this down now.
And also, I guess, Alex has that sort of Valve philosophy of basically having like, okay, well, this section is about this.
Yeah.
Well, this is more like you're sort of doing the same thing most of the time. You're looking for the next interactive object, going to take a photo, but really you're just sneaking through.
Yeah. Interacting with the thing.
Yeah. I do like pulling a chain in VR. Yeah. I think I suppose my biggest disappointment is that it's not quite silly enough.
Oh, you wanted to go like... Well, because I guess if they wanted to go Metal Gear, if they'd gone full Metal Gear, then that silliness would have...
Because once the story comes in and like Hader's character is silly, like it's... But you are stealth gaming in a kayak. And I want more people like playing it straight. But just like, I guess we better move the prisoner to the underwater base. Yes, the underwater base sounds good. It's like, or the flooded base. Yes, we'll move to the flooded base now. That sounds... It's like, are there any inlets of water there? No, but we'll make some.
Yeah, I think... Because I guess like Metal Gear, Kojima's Metal Gear always does a fantastic job at taking itself seriously, but not. This one, it doesn't really capture that Kojima-ness, even though they're kind of going for that style. And it's an inherently silly concept.
I have been dreaming about Death Stranding. I was like, later this year, it's like, it's coming out on PC, so now I'm not going to buy it. And then every time I see it, I'm like, maybe I'll wait for Epic sale. Because
I've still got my $15 Epic voucher.
Yeah, still got one too, yeah. Because I think Death Stranding is my favorite Kojima work. I know I haven't finished it. I know I've only played the first like 2 and a bit acts.
It's definitely up there with me. Like it's.
You know what I want? Because I've been watching like music videos and everything that just use like imagery. So I've kind of had some semi-spoilers, but not really because I have no idea the context. I'm like, you know what would make this game like just genuinely fucking amazing? Make it silent. No one can really talk.
Well, if you do get the PC version, I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of mods.
Oh,
for this
yeah.
thing. People are going to mod the shit
But
out
it's
of
like,
it.
because I remember when we were laughing at it as we're playing it, that it was about just like how forced all of the dialogue and everything, and like some of the stuff was like we genuinely enjoyed, and some of it was like, this is Kojima being Kojima.
Yeah, these are my cufflinks.
But that editing down a little bit, and just like I love an overt metaphor, and it's just nothing but overt metaphors, and the imagery is fucking amazing, and I'm just like watching it, and it's mostly just the Church's song, which is a fucking great song.
It is a fantastic song.
And I'm like,
well, now I've got
I love this game
because I got myself a new TV.
Yeah,
with HDR. I really need to load up Death Stranding again.
Because you got a PS4 Pro, don't you?
Yeah, I got a PS4 Pro. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, get it on PC and fucking. There's just I really, really love the world design. Look at that game.
I really hope Kojima doesn't do anything else with it. I worry a little bit they'd be like, let's make a continuation of the universe. It's like, please don't. Please, let's move on.
I had a dream of, and I don't know how Death Stranding ends, but I assume it doesn't end like this. And it's sort of.
I hope you're right.
It's a little bit like it's a little bit like another bit of saying that game is a spoiler, I guess. So I'm watching one of these like trailers, and it has Norman Reedus' character stepping out, and in the distance is this colossus, this giant thing. And when you do this imagery in a thing, you're basically saying that these things are somewhat in some way equal, and these are about. But I then want it to become that this thing takes over the horizon, and you are dwarfed, you are incapable of tackling such a thing. And I want the camera to circle around Reedus, but then the camera pulls back, and as it pulls back, you see the first one, two, then thousands of Norman Reeduses. But not just that, but they all have a camera crew circling them the way that your camera just circled around it.
Yeah.
And then all Norman Reeduses and camera crews run towards the Colossus. The camera crew is an important aspect of this dream. And I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
And I'm crying. I don't know. I mean, I've been a bit emotional recently. But like, that's
your look, you get onto Hideo, you let him know.
Do it. I also had another dream.
We need the Broadhurst cut.
I also had Death Stranding 2 by Naughty Dog.
All right. How does this work?
No. I just want Kojima to be able to write the story, and beyond that, Naughty Dog makes
just make it. Oh yeah.
Yep. I want their attention to detail, their focus of storytelling. Yeah. They're just like
their ability to pace a story.
For good or worse than that, but better than Kojima. Just like do that. Definitely Kojima will relinquish the power.
Well, like you saw what happened with Revengeance with Metal Gear. It's not. The Revengeance was here's the Metal Gear license. Yeah. I think Hideo produced, but apart from that, it was Platinum picking up.
This is actually going to segue in fine, but Naughty Dog haven't really done weird.
No, they're normally pretty grounded.
Yeah, I would like to see some surrealism with Naughty Dog. Yeah. They could do anything now, but for now, they've done The Last of Us Part 2. Mm-hmm. Fucking segue, Paul. That's what they call me.
Good segue.
Now, Paul is an expert of Last of Us Part 2.
Yes. I
have played several minutes of this game. We are going to avoid pretty much any mention of story spoilers.
Yes. Even narrative structure spoilers are kind of...
Yeah, there's sort of a thing I want to sort of say at the game, but fuck it. We don't really need it. If you want to know that stuff, there's plenty out there. I have played sort of the first 4 sections or so, which probably really amounts to maybe an hour. Yeah. So I've barely touched it. It's not really kicked off. Early in the game, and I'm going to spoil it here, early in the game you are playing Ellie. It's one of the characters from Last of Us Part 1. You might have heard of her. Yeah. So she's in a town, and there's a dog, and it runs up to you, and there's a button to push the dog. And as I lean down to pat this dog, the dog slid. It slid to get into position for the animation. I'm like, fuck this game.
So I'm playing Ellie too, right? I'm walking through the town, and I'm following my friend.
Yeah.
And I turn around, and he kind of walks off, and because I'm distracted by something, I'm looking at stuff.
And you didn't know where to go?
Walk back, gone. I then spent 15 minutes walking around this starting area, unable to continue.
Did you find any cool stuff?
Not really.
Oh.
I then had to reload to fix it. This is my first 10 minutes of this game.
These are Paul and James's petty gripes.
So this was pre-patch. So I installed it, and then it's like, oh, do you want to patch it? And it's like, nah, now let's play it. Can't be that broken. Apparently, they needed that day one patch.
I mean, I swear you just didn't walk through the door.
No, because I went to the door and no icon appeared. Okay. And then when I loaded it, it's like, oh, well, there's that door that I walked up to, and now I can interact with it.
I do find it funny. So, okay, we spoiled there's a town.
There is a town.
I do find the pacing weird where it starts a game and it's like, okay, well, we're going to go here. And you're just like, we're just going to walk through the town. And games do this all the time. I'm like, can't you start me even softer with like, let me look around? Because I feel like I've got to keep pace in this conversation
especially
right
now. Last of Us, like it's a pretty directed experience for the most part. Yeah. So there was like they gave me things to look at, but it's like, oh, but I should be. I mean,
I should be used to Uncharted, where my major complaint is you go off the beaten path and suddenly you fall through the world.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't try to do that. Yeah. But they've put so much work into.
I know it's a lot of detail in that world.
Look around. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a stealth video game with violence.
Which actually wasn't as violent as I was expecting. I think I had it really...
Maybe it was turned up so much to you?
Yeah, like I was expecting this thing to be like... I mean, and it's brutal. It is a very brutal game. But I was expecting it to be this level which made me uncomfortable. Not really. Like, it's definitely brutal. But the violence didn't really go so far with me that I was uncomfortable with it.
You are sadistic.
I mean, the time I got uncomfortable with stuff was more the context around the violence.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like, that is... but the violence itself was like, yeah, it's brutal.
So, James has completed the game.
I finished it, yes.
He fucking blasted it in like 3 days. Like a maniac.
I think... I actually haven't looked at my playtime because I don't know, because I gave the disc to you.
Yeah.
I think it was like 25 to 30 hours, somewhere around there.
Maniac.
I think it's somewhere around there. Because, I just basically... And today is a Last of Us Part 2.
Now, you combated pretty easy.
Yeah, so I guess the other reason why I finished it probably pretty quick was because one of the great things about this game is you can go into it and go... Remember like System Shock, right? When you start up System Shock 1, and it's like, hey, do you want easy combat and hard puzzles?
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, that sounds good. I don't really care. Like, this you can go in, it's like, how do I want the scavenging to be? How do I want the stealth to be? How do I want the enemy difficulty to be? How do I want the difficulty to me to be? Like, it's...
Look, let's just divert for a second on the accessibility options.
Yes.
Because one of the problems I had, and this actually happens to me quite often in, weirdly, a lot of AAA games, I got motion sick. I was like, oh, there's something about this camera that doesn't sit right with me. It wasn't terrible, but it was just feeling slightly uneasy. And there was a whole section for motion sickness. It was put a dot in the middle of the screen, which often helps. Turning down Bob and things like that. Increasing the field of view if you wanted. Field of view sliders on a console game? Never seen that.
Especially because what that's going to do to the frame rate, being able to pump that up.
Yeah. Options for visibility issues.
The accessibility...
Cues,
well, they got in... There's a YouTube channel called Blind Gamer.
Yeah.
And they got him in as a consultant. Which also, recommend checking out his channel. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to know what it's like to have vision, like to be vision impaired and play games, he's got videos dedicated to explaining.
Yeah,
what
how
it
do
means.
I perceive this and such. Yeah.
But they got him on board as a consultant, and it really shows. Like, the accessibility is...
And whilst you can't make every game design accessible to everyone, the strides that they've put in place here are like a leading example to the industry.
Well, this was setting a bar of like, this is... If you're making a AAA game that you want to be able to have accessible to as many people as possible, this shows you the things you can do.
Like, they previously put in the like, the non-mash, just change it to a hold for like opening a door and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I don't like the mash. I'm just going to go switch it on. And so when I get in there, it's not a switch to whether or not you want it to mash or hold. It's all the context of whether you would mash or hold. And you can choose for each kind of context what you want it to be. So I turn them all to hold, except for fight a zombie, like when it's jumping.
Because then it's like you want that.
Because I was like, no, that feels like a moment I should be like panicking and frantic.
You want that physicality.
I'm going to leave that there. It's like, fuck. Yeah. You really like the amount they give you is awesome. And I think like, and most of the stuff, if you design the game with these things in mind from the beginning, isn't necessarily that hard to implement. But you do need to think about it from the beginning. Yeah,
there's just a lot of little things that they've gone in.
Especially when it comes to like colorblind modes and stuff like that. If you haven't set up the game to be able to change colors and do stuff, you're not fucking patching that in easily. Maybe if you're really good at bloody shaders or something, you can do something, but it'll be a lot of extra work at the end. But really good. So the game itself, it's really well directed. It looks fucking fabulous.
Yep. It looks like, and this is about playing on my new TV.
Yeah.
It looks phenomenal. For like an end of life game. I mean, these ones are already always amazing to see because people have figured out how to just get every little bit of heart.
And Naughty Dog are.
Yeah.
I would say when it comes to like building a game fidelity wise, I would say they are the best in the industry without anyone really that close.
Yeah, like even just like watching like the grass.
Yeah.
You know, and like watching it sway and like just the amount of grass that's there.
Like in there's snow near the beginning of the game, and I'm watching how the footsteps are actually formed in the snow as it pushes through.
All the little. This is where actually I really, now that I've got a 4K TV, really appreciated the 4K because just like I could see just all the little snowflakes, like just the extra detail.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, that's it looks so good.
Now, does this stuff make a game better? Not necessarily, but it certainly is an experience.
Oh well, it's for something especially as thematic as what a Naughty Dog game, as what Last of Us is,
which is still like half walking simulator.
Yeah, like majority of the game is going to be. I actually probably would say majority, especially if you're like me, who's gone look stealth easy as possible, please, because I'm not interested in the stealth. And I have to say, even putting the difficulty down, it did let me find a point where it still wasn't like. I still die. Like, it wasn't like a nothing. Like, I'd have to think about, all right, I've got to take this person down, take this person down. But it's more like, especially with the stealth, they have this indicator where, like, you get this rising kind of sound when you've been spotted.
Yeah.
It's like this rising white noise. And it was just like, it's just made that longer. So it meant, like, if I heard the rising sound, I'm like, oh, all right, well, get out of the way. I'll still get seen if I stay out there long enough. Yeah. Or the other thing with taking the stealth down was that there was more of a window if they spotted you when they're in front of you. You could quickly grab them. It wasn't like an immediate, like, oh, well, now everyone's alert and I've got to fight everyone.
Because there's always that moment in a stealth game where you're sneaking up behind someone and you don't know their pattern and they turn around when you're just about to enter that range. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But you still like, they've still got a moment to realize that you can still grab them in this game, which is good.
Yeah. But generally, like, I really enjoyed it.
So the misery was okay for you?
Yeah, I really like that they called it Part 2 because that's like I don't see much of. I guess you don't need to play the first one to play this. I think playing the first one, or in my case, I watched like a 4-hour cut.
You play like the first third and then watch the rest.
I watched the rest, but I did feel like that gave me a good kind of feeling for the whole game. And I think this one you could get quite a lot out of it just by watching the 14-hour kind of cut that people have made of like all the story stuff.
There's an interesting thought I had about this, and there's going to be spoilers here for the film. Funny Games. So
which I think we've already spoiled on the show anyway.
Yeah, probably. It's an interesting artistic merit, that film. So one of the things that people don't like about the game, and as I say, I haven't played the whole thing, so I'm speaking from just you and other people talking to me, is that because it is not a choice game in any way, other than you can sneak past some people instead of killing them, you are still going to kill people because it is a narrative game, and a lot of those horrible things happen in cutscenes, and there is no, I play the Ellie that doesn't murder people. You're always the Ellie that murders people. And the problem is people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's horrible. There's a horrible thing happening. I don't want to partake in it, and it gives me no choice. And this is where these people are wrong, because there is a choice. And it's interesting to talk about it. The choice is to turn off the game.
Because that particular concept of... And this is again, not talking any spoilers or anything, but that concept of you're effectively a passenger that kind of has agency, but only with the ability to push the game forward, is used very cleverly, and is used in ways that probably were maybe the most uncomfortable.
Well, because I even think about like some Kojima cutscenes, and not doing anything close to a story spoiler here, where they might reach a climax, and the cutscene will pause, and I'm sure you can think of the incident in particular I'm thinking of, and it will not continue until a player input.
Yes.
So it is your choice to perpetuate what's going on. So that's why I say, like, I bet I could put a really clickbaity video about this on YouTube with an angry face in the room going, it's like, it's your duty to return Last of Us Part 2 for a refund. And the thing is, I think that's a strong artistic statement. I think if your problem with Last of Us 2 is that it makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to be a participant in the violence, the actual thing to do is to the artistic choice and the honest choice is to take it back and refund it.
Yeah.
Because that was actually part of the problem. Because there's actually, I don't need to. I think I made the point. I don't need to say the actual details of Funny Games, but Funny Games makes a similar thing halfway through the film, where it basically says to the audience, "This is not going to turn out well. it is your choice to
If we want to
leave
keep
the movie
going,
now.
yeah.
The problem is you bought the ticket. What they need to do is put that movie. They have a policy at the cinema that if you leave at that point, they give you your money back, because people aren't going to stop playing because they pay for an experience and they're going to see it whether they like it or not. So you kind of need to make it an option that they can get their fucking money
it's
back.
Like at this point, a little thing pops up, refunds available. Like, then
needs to be an achievement. Refunds available. And that, because I don't think that's necessarily a point that Naughty Dog is making, but I think, death of the author, all that. I think that is a way of viewing this sort of thing. That if you do not like it, then you actually do have a choice. You do not have to be a participant in the horribleness that goes on in these stories. Which is fun. Like, I love some pretty horrible things sometimes, but if it gets too much for me, I just turn it off.
Turn it off, yeah.
There's a lot of other things to do in my life.
Yeah, there's been plenty of stuff where I've done that, where I've walked away from it, where I've just gone, nope, too much.
Yep.
I'm out.
Me singing too much of a song. If you don't like it, genuinely don't play it and get your money back.
Yeah.
And then you're winning on the side of righteous art.
Yeah. And
you don't have to do it for any weird alt-right reason.
Yeah, there's all that whole side of it.
What I hate about the criticism of Last of Us 2 is that there's plenty of, arguably valid criticism coming up. And there's plenty of real criticism that's just... I mean, you can criticize the game without being called a bigot or anything. It's fine.
Well, yeah, because
lots of people
I'm not going to say it's perfect. There's things that I didn't really like about it, and there's characters I think didn't really work. But... when you look at Metacritic and it's sitting there at 1. Well, no,
worst fucking game ever.
You're objectively wrong. I'm sorry.
And part of the problem is it's similar to Star Wars and a few other things around, where the rhetoric has the people that have come in as bad faith arguing. They've come in with an agenda, and then they've made their discussions not about their issues anymore. They've stopped saying SJW and stuff like that. Go, oh no, we're actually talking about truthful representation of a character and all this. But they take... Then you notice all these other people using the language that originated in these other places. So it's like, you're actually kind of arguing from people that were arguing in bad faith in the beginning. Yeah. And because, I mean, not like we get thoughts from other people as well. Everyone does. And I'm like, ooh, you're almost there, but you're actually still boosting up some shitheads.
Yeah.
So maybe we just step back and try to... It's just a fucking game. It's not a big thing. We don't need fucking death threats.
Which has been happening to actors.
Yeah, Laura Bailey has had a shitload of stuff.
Jesus Christ.
It is totally unacceptable, and it's so stupid, and I wish people could just be a little bit more objective about who they're listening to online. Stop watching 2 hour... I know we're 2 hour long videos, but and we're bearded.
But our opinions
we're not
are
that
fine.
angry. Yeah, and people that just want to go on some sort of outrage, calling things the worst things ever, and and I was going to say using the word agenda, but I just used agenda about 2 paragraphs
Well, I guess
ago.
any of the hate tubers, you just got to be kind of mindful of what you're watching. Even I like Friendly Geordies. I like his stuff, but whenever I watch his stuff, I always I look at it for what it is. It is sensationalized. There is this element of hyperbole around it. It's... You got to just you're taking stuff and you can take in useful information, but you got to be mindful of biases and things. What
the fuck did you just say about my Geordies?
You just got to, it's good to hear other people's ideas. It's good to have different views on things and see how other people see the world. But you just got to also be mindful of
the people that make a living off sensationalism. Yeah.
I do like Geordies. I think he's a good force in the world.
No, I like Geordies a lot, and normally, if there is issue you have with stuff, you can bring it up, and half the time it's something he doesn't even care about. That was a throwaway joke because I am inherently a comedian also. So go fuck yourself. Come on, Geordie.
He actually gets away with a lot because you can play the comedian card.
You can.
Yeah, you can put on a racist, silly voice, and you can kind of get away with it because I'm also a bad comedian.
Oh, but also he has because he got called out by that politician. For doing
his.
He's like, actually, I'm more ethnic than you are. It's like your people oppressed my people because he's. I can't remember because it's not I can't remember what country his family's from, but anyway, he just happens to look white. It's like yeah. It's like my friend from Cyprus and everything's like, oh, terrible things have happened. Okay, moving on. Yes. We're comedians too, so Oh, now we're a bit too dark now that the sun's gone. That's fine.
That's right.
I'll fix it in post. Or I'll just leave it. Who really cares?
Yeah, just leave it.
Anyway, so that was Last of Us Part 2.
Which I think we actually did a pretty good job of talking about without giving anything away. It's
well, kind of. We didn't really talk about much gameplay at all.
No. I mean, I think gameplay-wise, it's I don't know, it's largely doing what the first one did.
It's doing it better.
It's doing it better. Yeah, it's like, as far as the mechanics go, to me, it's the first one with better story structure. Like, the first one has a lot of, see the thing in the distance?
Yeah.
We're walking to that, and you get to that thing in the distance, and you know what you do next? You see another thing in the distance, and you walk to that. This one still does it, but it's not every fucking time. I get so sick of that. Like, oh god, get to the bridge.
So the trope that I love,
yeah,
and Last of Us Part 2 certainly falls into it, is when you want to teach killing in a game, but you're not up to killing people yet, so you come up with a fun way to do it.
Oh.
In this case, you learn to shoot people in a fun snowball fight with kids.
With children. That was
It's like, the other one I loved was the Lord of the Rings, the Mordor one, where you learn to stealth kill by sneaking up on your wife and giving her a kiss. I find it so, because there was people use that as a criticism. I'm like, nah.
No, it's fine. I thought
the
the snowball fight was adorable.
That's fine. It's good. Hey, look, I learned how to headshot someone. Take that, kid. Very well made game. But the stealth. Yeah, I mean, without going, maybe one day we'll do a
spoiler alert on it.
Because it is interesting.
There's a lot to talk about that story-wise.
Yes.
Narrative-wise, structure-wise, there's a lot of interesting things that it does.
Okay, so time for our last big game, the porn game on the Switch.
Oh, Jesus, yep.
Waifu Uncovered.
Which, look, you sent me some screenshots. The thing that bothered me the most is the contrast with the back image. This is a fundamental flaw in this game. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it.
It's not actually that much.
Well, from the
maybe the screenshot didn't was a little bit weird.
It's a game about anime titty, right?
Yes.
So it's like it's a shmup with anime titty in the background. So both the shmup part's important.
It is a shmup, but it's not really scrolling. It kind of is, but it's almost more, not really Space Invader-y, but more like, anyway. It's inherently
so
shmup.
you're meant to be fapping to the picture in the background, so it's important you see that.
Yes.
But you also have to play.
Yes.
And so you need to have the visibility of the background and the visibility of the game on top of it, and then it's a big mess.
They're slightly different scales of the render. And you're never going to get lost, because if something isn't a cowboy anime girl getting her clothes removed, it's an enemy. So this game is pornography.
On the Switch.
So what they did was they got 16 drawings of hentai girls.
Yeah, so they went to DeviantArt or somewhere, and they commissioned 16 drawings.
Yeah, so it's 2 drawings of each girl, because there's 8 girls.
Yeah.
One with clothes on, one with clothes off. But also they made sure that they can remove each part individually. So that as you play, each scene is multiple stages, I think 6 stages, and it removes a bit of clothing, and then you fight a boss, and that's the last bit. And then you get your lovely titty picture, which at the beginning you do not get a titty picture. You get a censored picture. You've got to, I think you have to play through it once before you can choose the uncensored mode. But then you don't get the uncensored picture unless a round before each round you manage to kill every enemy, in which case you get like the clear thing. Otherwise there'll be objects that are obstructing the nipples. Oh. I don't know if you can unobstruct lower down. I certainly am not good enough player to find it yet.
I would be surprised if that
but
got
also
through
a lot of the poses don't have anything you'd see anyway, but some of them definitely would. So this game's incredibly cheap. It has 16 drawings, and I guess a few more, because they have like portraits that talk as well before and afterwards. And when you select the next girl, you're going to do, I think you've got to get rid of her like toxic clothes or something. So what they then did was I think they probably went to DeviantArt again, or just something like, oh, what are some fun drawings? Oh, I don't know. Let's get some meme faces. Those can be an enemy, and let's get let's just get any old random shit. Oh, a spaceship with ears. Yeah, that's an enemy. Whatever. Blah 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 blah. Okay. No real concise concept to the enemy.
You're saying that there's not like a clear artistic vision with this game?
No. It's not really a bullet hell, because bullet hells require design patterns. And this is a little bit too random. Enemies come in and go, but they also not too many spray bullets. Some of them do. The bullets are well defined, so you generally can see them. There's little ones I have a little bit of problem with on the Switch, but maybe on a TV there'd be no problem. Okay. The structure of each of these things isn't time. When you kill an enemy, they drop a ninja star, of course.
It's because they went to Free Game Art and they got themselves a ninja star asset. Yeah.
And you have to collect the ninja star, and each stage has a counter at the top, and you've got to get that many ninja stars. Some enemies drop bigger ones than others, and you've just got to bring that down, and then you move to the next stage until you get to the boss. Okay, so here's where I get the thing. I played through this game 3 times now.
So for each girl?
No, because a run is every girl.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's fun. It's not genius, but it's so because you're moving around and you prioritize the things to get the stars, but you also got to make sure that the area that the stars are going to appear in isn't going to be full of bullets, so you get through. So there is a little bit of management there in what you're doing. It's easy enough that I have beat it a few times. Yeah. But not so easy that I can not think about playing. It's just a bit forgiving, and you sort of recharge health between levels, and that's fine. It's like you realize quickly it's not designed. Like you can get a screen full of asteroids which take up big chunks, which are beyond your guns being able to break down. Later in the game, you might be able to, because through a run you're upgrading the whole time.
So you go back and have to upgrade again from the beginning.
Well, when you restart the game, But the whole time, so when you're doing a run, you start as a weak ship, and by the end, you don't lose any. It's not like there's any temporary power ups. Every power up is permanent.
Okay, all right.
So you're just becoming more and more powerful as you go through. So I did the bosses in an order where I killed one of the bosses in like 3 seconds. It's like I think this is supposed to be an early game boss. Whoops. So you're constantly getting more powerful. But there's more enemies and everything. So I mean, like these asteroids you can't get, but you got like bombs to wipe the screen. So sometimes like there's literally no way out of this. Bomb.
Use bomb, yeah.
Okay, so after a few runs, you also unlock one-handed mode. So
how does this work?
Admittedly, I have not tested.
Yes.
But I feel it would be quite difficult to jerk off while playing this game.
So this is like you just hold one of the.
Well, it's touch screen.
Oh, okay.
Which means you still need the other hand to hold the device.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how
So you're not using the joysticks?
No. But here's the thing. Partly because I think they want you at least... Because you could like hold it and use one thumb on it, kind of, but it'd be a bit awkward. Because it doesn't track where your finger is. Just wherever you start, you'll move.
It's like relative.
Yeah, it's relative. So I feel it would be quite difficult to have a wank. But...
Challenge
also,
accepted.
What they do is you're playing a sausage ship in this mode. I think it's the only option you've got because there's quite a different number of ships that have different play modes.
Okay,
so you actually do have a bit of choice.
It sounds like there's actually a bit of game here.
Like I'm not saying it's not cheap and it's not fucking stupid, but I'm saying what they've thrown together has a balance that isn't unenjoyable. Okay. So you're playing this sausage and it's a very hard hitting ship, and it sort of at the beginning is just shooting straight up. There's no spread or anything. You get that later. I'm like, it's quite easy now. So like, I think they made it easier because you're not going to be that accurate because you're supposed to be jerking with the other hand. But I don't really know why you would, because it's just, you have to go on the internet and just Google hentai and you've suddenly got a million things more exciting than the art in this game. But I quite liked playing the sausage and I quite liked playing it with touchscreen because they removed the speed stat because you move at the speed of your finger then, so there's no... and there's co-op, which I haven't got to play yet, but I might. Look, I saw it on Steam, and it's $5 on Steam. I don't know how much it'll cost on Switch, but if it's any more than $5, don't fucking do it.
Well, I wonder if the Steam version is less censored.
I don't think so. I think it's the same.
Yeah.
It's not crazy pornographic. Yeah.
It's just anime titty, right?
Yeah. And honestly, me wanting to get the fully undress is more because I just wanted to get the challenges. And
that was me in Honey Pop.
There's online leaderboards.
It was a challenge of getting the image unlocks more than the images themselves.
Because we have pornography and we have partners.
I'm looking forward to Honey Pop too.
Hopefully they nail it.
Yeah.
So Waifu Uncovered, I'm not saying it's art, but I'm saying I had an actually pleasant time playing.
It's competent.
Yeah, as I say, the balance of elements they've put in it was surprisingly fun. And as someone that often bounce off shmups because they can get a bit too hard, a bit too intense. The difficulty was good enough that I wasn't unchallenged, but I had a fun time doing it. Yeah, you could do a lot worse. Plus, you just got the weird thing of having a fucking porn game on the Switch.
It's so bizarre. We live in a world with porn Nintendo games.
Good old pornography. Okay, James, you've also been playing a learning game.
Yes. So I've mentioned a few times on the show, whenever I talk about programming games, is I don't play them because they feel like work.
Yes.
And so I tend to not like any Zachtronic stuff. I never really get that into it. But I saw one, and I saw this one is about machine learning. That's actually something I don't know much about. I'm interested in it, but don't know what it is. So I thought, it was released on PS4, right? And I thought, I wonder if this thing is on iPad, because it's basically a node-based editor thing, and it's going to be cheaper. So I look on the iPad, and it's like $8. Like, okay, let's get this thing on iPad. So the idea behind Wild True Learn, that's the name of it, is correct. That you play a programmer who is trying to fix a bug and can't do it, leaves the room. His cat then jumps onto the computer, solves the bug, fixes the bug. Programmer comes back. It's like, well, this is cool. I need to be able to talk to my cat. How do I make a machine to let me talk to my cat? And then that starts that's the premise of it. And it's also more educational than I originally thought it was going to be. So it kind of starts off by like, it's a node-based kind of editor. It's not really visual scripting because it's not about scripting. It's about sorting. And it gives you very simple things to start off with, like a simple, like, you know, if it's red, do this, if it's blue, do this. So branch off. And it's sort of going from inputs to outputs. It's just about sorting into buckets. It's the whole concept of it. Maybe it changes a bit later. So far, that's it. But it kind of gives you an element, but then also gives you like a link to like a lesson and like a video to describe it more. So if you want to like learn more about in the 60s, this person came up with an expert system and like we'll learn more about it. There's just links there to take you to it. Which I think's really cool. Like it's like I haven't gone digging myself because I'm not that interested. But it's. But
if like, you became interested, you've got a launching
and I kind of remember some of the stuff from high school with expert systems. But it's also going through history, so it's like it's trying to take you through where did machine learning start in its most simplest when it sucked to where it is now. And so it's actually going through the years. So it's like you go through like eras of machine learning, and then kind of gives you more stuff to go through. I've been finding it really fun. Like it's like, I think because it's not about putting together a script. It's about, okay, I've got these things to sort and I'll get it working. It's like, but I've only got the bronze. It's like, okay, what can I do to this to make the sorting better? And that can be looking at things like, I've got how many of each thing to sort do I have? What order do I sort them? Because there's things like you get a decision tree where it's like, if it's red, do this. If it's green, do this. But if it's blue, it goes to a random one. So it's like, okay, well, I need to be able to sort out the blue. So you kind of like chain them together to kind of filter them out. But maybe there's more of the blue than the red. So they're going to they need to get over here, but they're going to go a longer path to get here. So I might change it. It's like lots of things to consider. And that's only with like, at the moment where I am, like 2 or 3 elements. Yeah. And I can see as they're going to add more, it's going to keep like ramping up the complexity.
Until you can talk cat.
Until I can talk cat. It even does stuff where it saves off your previous solutions that you can... Siri.
I just noticed Siri was recording.
Siri. You can save.
They're always listening, James.
You can save off your previous solutions and actually use them in future solutions. Yeah. Like it's basically encapsulates them as a little thing. So you also you can go into like they call it the DLL, but it's basically exactly what a DLL is. It's like a collection of methods.
It's a little library.
It's a little library. Where you can go in and like if there's certain things you want, like I regularly sort out colors. You just go make a little thing, and then you just like start
That's very cool.
Yeah, like it's very educational. It's the pacing of like the way it's giving it to me is very interesting, and it's something which if I ever do any machine learning stuff, I feel like this is going to give me a good primer on it.
It's because did you get linked because it was brought up in the Discord and it's because they had the PS4 trailer?
Yeah, it just came out on PS4.
So you're playing on PC though, I imagine.
iPad.
Oh, an iPad.
Yeah. Because it's a touch-based thing. Yeah. Well, it's like it's a node-based thing. So I'm just using my fingers and just dragging around nodes and pinch and zoom, and so I can lie in bed and just. Design these little sorting systems. Yeah.
And if that's the case, it should work pretty decent on PS4. Especially if they use the trackpad.
Yeah. Yeah, use trackpad or,
But will they? Will they use the trackpad?
Yeah, because there's nothing about it that's like timing based. Like, like it's, I think with a controller it could work fine. I think mouse is probably
Yeah, it
going
could
to
just be a bit clunky.
Yeah, mouse or touch is probably going to be the best.
Yeah.
But nah.
Yeah.
As a little education tool, especially someone who, I've been programming a long time. It's nice that like it isn't just like we're going to try and emulate scripting and coding. It's like, here is a particular area of computer science, which I'm not familiar with. Go learn about it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that one is
So
while true learn. Yeah.
We won't dictate the brackets.
No. Yeah. I almost put a semicolon at the end when I was right. I actually think the title does have a semicolon at the end.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Yeah.
What is the name of Ubisoft's new battle royale?
Hyperspace.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember.
What is the name of Stealth Kayak?
Phantom Covert Ops.
Correct. What is the name of the dinosaur survival co-op game?
Oh, Dead World?
No. Both words wrong. Oh, yeah, first word, good.
Dead.
No.
Death Land?
Closer.
Death Place?
So big and flat.
Deathground?
Yes! That was a bit of a Hitchhiker's reference there to help him out there.
That title, that's so...
Deathground!
That really evokes dinosaurs, doesn't it?
I guess. Oh! I think our audio just ran out. Did we run out of space? Oh no! I think it just ran out then.
Oh yeah, because I did just see it flick.
Hey! Computer! The audio just died. This is the end of the episode. Goodbye, everyone. This should be the webcam's microphone.
It's going to be terrible.
It's going to be great. Goodbye, computer. Thanks for listening to 8.5 Bit. This is your web host.
Click, click, click.
Clicker and son. Click-a-boning. Goodbye.
Bye.
Click.